Hi, this is a short video to explain and demonstrate the binaural playback capability of ImmerGo. ImmerGo is an immersive sound program that spatializes sound sources that are the inputs to mixer devices, such as the MOTU AVB and PreSonus Studio Live series of devices. ImmerGo enables the spatialization via speakers that are attached to the devices. This has been described in a separate video. I arrange speakers on telescopic ladders, as you'll see behind me. The binaural capability of ImmerGo enables the spatialization effect over headphones attached to the computer. So the idea is that there will be over headphones the same spatialization effect as when you sit in a room with spatialized sound over speakers. Let's look at this binaural capability for MOTU devices. I've got my computer attached to a MOTU ES, just over there to my right. And I'm going to use a Simple Logic Pro multitrack of my own to provide the sound sources, and it's using sound sources that come with Logic Pro. ImmerGo displays recorded spatial positions of sound sources as small circles with the sound source number inside the circle. In this client display, sound sources haven't been recorded and they are just saved at static positions. I can click the binaural button down here and then start the multitrack playback from ImmerGo. As the multitrack plays, I can select various sound sources and move them around. So I'll do that, clicking the multitrack button, the binaural button, and then clicking the start multitrack button. And now I can select a particular sound source, choosing the snare drums in this case, and just moving that around gradually to give you a sense of the spatial movement. Take the arpeggios, move them around. And take the melody, just move that around. Let's take the cellos. And I'll take the chorus, move that, let's make it lower down. And take the brass and move that forward. Take the snare drums again and let's move them the other direction. You can record the spatialization movements that you've made by going to settings and then submitting a file name. So I'll do that. Just call it binaural demo, and submit it. And then you can go to controls again, and you can click the bin rec button. That's that one over there, and a binaural file with your movements will be recorded to the file name that you've just entered in settings. So this approach would be useful if, for example, you are recording a band in real time and you want to capture as a binaural file the 3D movements you are making for the various instruments and mic inputs. So I will record some initial spatializations on the snare track and then play it back. So I'm just going to push bin rec and then go for it and choose the snare track. Just move that around as I did previously. Again, and that'll stop the recording. The binaural file is located within the binaural folder within your current working folder, And this can be played back with there it is, binaural demo that I just entered. That can be played back with a WAV player. You can also, as described in a separate video, record the spatial movements of tracks and save these timestamp movements to a named .im, an immersive file. And these movements will be displayed visually also, and the resulting binaural spatializations can also be saved to a binaural WAV file, just as we did previously. So let's try recording a few sound source movements and then play them back. So I'll pick up the snare drum as always, and then you just push record and play, and then we can move that snare drum around as we did previously. We can pick up the arpeggio, move that around. Take the main melody, move that a bit. Let's try moving the cellos. That's okay, and let's try playing that back. Let's just get back to the start of the multi-track and play that lot back. So there's the snare drum, the visualization moving around, and of course the sound spatialized as well. Arpeggios moving around. And the main melody. And then finally just a bit of cello moving around. Okay, I think you've got the idea. You are not confined to a particular speaker configuration in ImmerGo. By clicking the configure button, you'll be taken to a configuration page. Let's do that. Go across to a configuration page. And on this page, you can change the speaker configuration, moving speakers to different positions. For example, I might want to raise the height of that 8th speaker, just move it to a higher position, as well as the 7th speaker, for example. Just do the same to that. You can use up to 14 speakers with the MOTU AVB devices. So it's and that's the whole range of AVB devices. You can use up to 14 speakers. You can experiment with various speaker configurations to hear what is the best arrangement for binaural sound. You can also beep a speaker. So let's take that speaker, and you can beep it to get a sense of how that speaker's output is spatialized over headphones. So let's just do that. And we can move across to that one, for example, and that one over towards the front, and then to the side. And of course, that's particularly useful if you're in a configuration of speakers in an installation and you want to know where those speakers are actually situated. On the configuration page, you can also change the height of the listener's head. So, for example, here we've got the height at about the lower ring of speakers. And then once you've done that, you can save the configuration and go back to controls, and we're just going to go straight back to controls. Apart from the speaker configuration changes, you can also change the nature of the algorithms used to render the source spatializations, and you can change the head width used to perform the binaural spatialization. You can make these changes via the settings page, which we'll go to now. Changing the rendering algorithm from dBAP to VBAP will result in less spread of the sound sources. VBAP determines the closest 3 speakers to the sound source and renders using those. Let's try this briefly with the snare drum. Well, first of all, let's have a look. dBAP, currently all the tracks are using dBAP. Let's go across to VBAP and change the snare drum to use VBAP. And then let's go across to the controls and see if that makes any difference at all. Okay, so we'll start the player again and then move the snare drum around as we've done in the past. And it should be more closely aligned with the speakers. Okay, let's go back to the settings page, and you can change here the head width. So fairly normal head width is 15 centimeters, and you can move that up or down. And changing the head width will modify the gain and delay values applied to the source samples for each. You may well ask how this binauralization happens, how we get spatialized audio over headphones. And let's have a look at all the components. Here's our computer, and we've got a MOTU ES, and then of course the headphones and ImmerGo. Well, we've got Logic Pro in this case, and it sends multiple USB channels across to the MOTU device, an A280 ES, and in this case, of course, it can be any MOTU AVB device. And we can also get inputs from analog inputs from mics and guitars, etc. Then what ImmerGo does continuously is it sends control messages across to the MOTU, and inside the MOTU you've got aux-sends, an aux-send matrix. So the line inputs are sent across to aux buses, and ImmerGo controls the values that are sent across to the aux buses. Those aux buses typically go to analog outs and then out to speakers, but in the case of the binaural implementation, the aux buses are sent across to USB outs, and those outs go into the computer, and inside the computer is an N standing for the number of channels, and it's an N by 2 matrix processor. And at the cross points of the processor, we have delay processing and gain processing and filtering. And so we get 2 outputs, those are the binaural outputs, which get sent across to the client, and there's a web audio implementation there, and those two outputs are then sent across to headphones. Binaural playback can be just as effective when playing a multi-channel WAV file with the ImmerGo WAV player. So I will select WAV playback control with this button down here and choose an a cappella piece from the Don Camilla Singers. We choose WAV control and then load up Marigolds, which is a Don Camilla Singers piece. And then what I'm going to do is go across to settings, and there are 2 high solo pieces, well, not quite solo, they're stereo, and choose those and link them. So I'm going to choose lead vocal 1 and link it to lead vocal 2 and go back to controls. And now when I move track number 10, 11 moves with it. Okay, so let's play that Don Camillo piece, and then I'll move those high vocals as that when they appear. Currently we've got the sopranos, altos and tenors up at the top right, and then all the basses down at the bottom, on the side at the bottom. So we should have those lead vocals coming in now. And I'll just move those around. You can try pulling them down lower. And then make them go up higher again. the idea. The reverb bus can be spatialized in the same way that a track is spatialized. The contribution of a track to the reverb bus can be changed by selecting the track and then moving the FX send volume slider. So let's do that. We just choose the snare track and move the FX send volume slider. Let's make it quite high. And the reverb bus can be spatialized by selecting the reverb track button. So let's do that and spatialize it. Let's have it quite a distance from where the actual track is, down in the corner, the bottom right corner. The level of the reverb bus can be altered by moving the FX bus slider. So let's not make that too high to start off with, and play back and just change the reverb, and we'll hear the effect and also move the reverb bus. Okay, so let's change that FX bus volume to something that's a bit over the top. And we can now move that reverb bus. Okay, that was a bit excessive, but it does give you the idea. As mentioned in a previous video, we can use ImmerGo with any DAW. So here we've got the Reaper DAW, and it's currently loaded with a piece by Mike Scalandunas, so we can start that up. And there's been a previous recording of spatialized movements, as you can see from the movements of the track circles. Okay, you can also use a mobile device. So the mobile device has exactly the same screen on it, and the advantage of using a mobile device is, of course, you don't have the screen space used up, but also what you can do is tilt. So you can tilt the mobile device and change the height of the spatialized track that you're working with. So I can just start up that Mike Scalandunas from the mobile device as well. Then stop it again. That's the end of this video introducing the binaural capabilities of ImmerGo. There are other features such as scheduling that have more to do with installation applications. You can purchase ImmerGo from the Immersive DSP website. Before purchase, you should download the demo and check that it works on your system with your particular device. So the demo works with one track, so you can spatialize that one track and hear it binaurally. On the website, you can download the demo and also the manual. Please contact us via the website if you have any questions. So thank you for your interest in ImmerGo.